right, so welcome to another episode of the Beard Fan podcast. As you know, the world has changed in the last couple of weeks. There's a lot going on around the world. Here in South Africa, things are getting close to being a lockdown. Anyway, I decided to, obviously it affects the podcast in some way, and I've decided to pivot a little bit and start doing more podcast conversations with people. And I'm touching base with my mates around the world, finding out what's going on, how the coronavirus has affected them. And they're also introducing me to some of their friends. So I'm meeting new people, as usual, which is great for me because I'm really enjoying that. And I'm going to be bringing you some of their stories over the next couple of days, next couple of weeks. Who knows how long this is going to be. Anyway, I hope you enjoy. And here's an episode for you. It's a total lockdown, eh? Who knows what the impact that's going to be?
Pretty grim, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, so you, Anton, you're based down in Grahamstown, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And what's your main gig that you do?
I'm at the university here. I'm an associate professor in the drama department. I teach creative writing.
Okay.
So, in the drama department, I teach writing, but also there's an MA in creative writing as well, and I'm also a writer myself, so that's kind of where my passion lies. And we run a small meditation center here as well, like a Buddhist Tibetan center, so we run mindfulness courses and things like that. This year I'm on sabbatical, so I'm doing research specifically about improv and mindfulness. So I'm interested in where they meet and different kinds of improv, comedy improv, but also music and movement performance. And I've done a couple of interesting retreats so far. I was supposed to go to Berlin now last week for quite a few months to interview people there and do a lot of improv workshops and festivals, but that whole thing is not happening.
Yeah, so
I was right on the cusp. It was like literally I was supposed to fly last Monday, so I could have still gone. I was still planning on going pretty much on the Sunday, although things were tightening up. Then there were the big speeches, and then Germany also shut down, and Cyril's speech on the Sunday at 5:00. So it was like really on the cusp. But I did sort of think of going anyway, and just sort of sitting it out and listening to in a country under siege. But anyway, I took all the good advice, and I just got on a city liner back home, and so I'm over here now.
Yeah. So, how does that impact your sabbatical and the work that you were planning to do? Do you have to postpone that, or how does it work?
Well, on the one hand, it's everything was cancelled. There's another one coming up end of April that hasn't been cancelled yet. So, and I'm still sort of tentatively hanging in there. I haven't got the refund on the Airbnb, and I got a voucher for the flight. It's probably not looking great, but I'm hoping to go a little bit later in a month or two. But already I had some interviews lined up for this week, and I'm going to go ahead with them on Skype. So I'm going to be interviewing the same people I was going to be talking to from tomorrow and on Friday. And I've also joined an improv class on Thursday nights in Berlin that I was going to be involved at this theater, or at least participate there. And I just today joined their class, so I'm going to go anyway. So everything is just shifted online.
Yeah.
Those things.
Yeah, I suppose in a situation like this, you got to try and make the most of what you can do. And I suppose technology helps us do these kind of things. You can still, like you're saying, you can still have those conversations with those people you plan to overseas, just with with a Skype call or Zoom call or whatever it is. Yeah. So it's not all lost.
A lot of things. It's been quite a busy week. Other things have kicked in because our mindfulness things have been cancelled, but we've now moved online, and there's the national facilitators all over the country are offering a daily sit at 7:00. So there's actually more than ever. Before it was once a week, but now we've got every day at 7:00 somebody's leading something, and somebody else is doing a yoga in the morning. I'm going to start that tomorrow morning. Check that out. It's in Joburg. So it's quite busy. There's like a lot of stuff happening that I wasn't doing before. Like, I mean, I know it's a rough situation for a lot of people in the economy, and it hasn't even properly kicked off here yet. But I mean, for me, staying at home is my favorite thing. It's like, I just love it. I just love not a day in which you don't have to leave the house. It's just brilliant. You don't have to worry about when you eat or when you wash or when you brush your teeth, or you can just sort of do things when you need to do things. And, so I've been having a great time.
I do enjoy that too. Yeah, sorry, man.
So go ahead.
Bit of a delay. Oh, you were saying?
No. I think I said what I was. Yeah, I was just saying I'm really. I feel bad for like enjoying it, because I know it's tough and whatever. But I've been because I was at with the Mama City Improv. There was an improv festival in Cape Town that was going on as things were shutting down over there. It was probably the last theatre that was had its lights on. All the other places were closing down, and all these people from overseas. It was their last improv show that they were for a long time, from Canada and Australia and UK. They were doing their last show for like the foreseeable. So I came back. So I've been kind of quarantining because I was in touch with people from Germany and in a theater, and so I haven't had any symptoms. It's been 1 week now, but I thought I won't leave the house for 2 weeks or so. But well, I mean, I'm not like restless about it. I really enjoy being at home.
Yeah, sure. Me too. Well, because I mean, I do. I work for a corporate and on the IT side, so I can do say 90% of my job remotely anyway. And the fact that I'm working from home indefinitely, well, not indefinitely, until further notice. It's been awesome because I'm a lot more productive, like you say. I mean, I can get up at 5:30 in the morning. I don't have to shower. I can go turn my computer on straight away, start grafting, maybe at 9 o'clock, maybe have some breakfast or whatever it is. It's just.
You're saying 5:30, like that's a good time to get up. You can get up at 5:30. Great. What are you talking about? I've been getting up at 11.
Oh, shit. Okay, well, the problem is I've got meetings at 8:30 at least. So I need to, at least get going early in the morning. Well, it's just that I think different people some people are morning people, some people are night people. I'm actually a bit of both. I can operate very well in the morning or operate pretty well in the evening. But like in between, I'm like a little bit restless. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and I mean, the university, what's the university like?
It's all shut down, all closed. I mean, I haven't been that actively involved, but I mean, obviously the staff WhatsApp group, and I'm seeing the emails and things. A lot of meetings about how to shift things online, very rapidly having to learn some new technology, about platforms that are available and ways in which one can do it. And I think it's particularly tough for something practical like drama, that's like a physical, embodied kind of thing in a space. It's going to be hard to teach the practical stuff like voice and choreography and physical performance stuff online. So I'm not sure what they're doing. But there was a end of term, I think, was next week. So they basically just shut down 2 weeks before end of term, cancelled grad. It's going to be quite a long break, and then have to see what the situation is when they get back. But I think they're looking for ways of moving everything online. It's going to be a new world.
Absolutely.
Get out of it.
Yeah, but it's amazing. I was when I was chatting to Alex yesterday, I was saying that it's so funny that how over the last, say, 2 years, we've become made very conscious about our time that we spend on our devices and how we connect with people. The fact that we have less and less face-to-face conversations and all that kind of stuff. And where, like, for myself, I've been become very like conscious of that and saying, okay, well, I need to put my phone down. I mustn't spend hours and hours on social media or WhatsApping people. And whatever. Now all of a sudden we've got no choice. And thank goodness for the technology,
Yeah, it's being encouraged, and it's like it is a weird thought or mindset that a person's presence can be poisonous or dangerous, that somebody's presence and getting close to somebody is actually like something to be cautious of. I mean, already there has been that divide and splitting. But yeah, you're right. We've been encouraged to say, no, you gotta meet in person and it's a different thing and all the rest of it. Now it's suddenly like, thank goodness we've got the platforms that we can use.
Yeah. So I think my teenage daughters are very happy because, well, this is the only way they can connect with their buddies now is with WhatsApp and TikTok and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
All the homeschool. My sister's doing homeschool and friends. I mean, for them, nothing's much has changed. They're just like,
exactly.
Another day.
Yeah.
But I saw a funny thing from my sister-in-law, who's my brother, moved to Germany last year, and the sister-in-law, and he's got 2 little girls, and she posted something on Facebook saying, "Oh, the homeschooling is off to a good start, although 2 students got suspended, and the teacher got sent home for drinking on the job."
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. So, I mean, have you connected with them in Germany and find out how things are going on that side?
Yeah, once in a while. It's still, we've got like a family WhatsApp thing going, and it's people are super. I mean, they're very like efficient and whatnot, and they obey the law and all that. This sort of German mindset, I guess. But there's a lot of fear. I'm just picking up like a lot of anxiety and nervousness, and people are really knuckling down. And nobody's in the streets. There's a strong directive just not to leave your house, just to stay indoors. And I think, I mean, if I look at all the figures, I mean, I think all of us, I don't know about you, but every day, at least once a day, checking the updates on whatever. So the German situation is kind of interesting. They've moved very quickly, and they've got the lowest deaths out of anybody that I can see. So something about the way they're handling the patients or the cases is to their advantage, and they're also slowing down already with the
infection,
this exponential thing. When things started kicking off a week ago. And not just looking at 100 and more a day, but each day it's more than it was the day before. I think in Italy it still hasn't peaked yet, whereas I think in Germany it's kind of plateauing. They're still getting like 1,000 cases a day, but that number of cases a day isn't going up.
Yeah, but I mean, if I remember correctly, Germany is fairly high up there with the numbers in terms of infections.
No, it's right underneath Italy. It's like 25,000 now, or America's taken over. It's like that leaderboard. It's like, this thing, because there's numbers involved, everybody gets on board. It's kind of competitive almost, seeing the number of cases in and the number of people cured. And
you're right. I've just checked now. It's at the moment it's 28,700 confirmed cases, but their mortality rate or the death rate is only 0.4%. So that's, like you say, that's quite impressive in terms of how.
Italy was about 6%, 6 or something. It was, or 5%. It was
up to 8 now. Yeah, I think they're getting close to 8 now, because I think they, they were reporting hundreds of people that had passed away as a result in one day. I mean, it's scary stuff.
And also when the hospital's full and people have to stay at home, they can't get the ventilators and things. I think then it gets worse if all capacity has been used up.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, like you say, all the industries that are affected by this, I mean, the entertainment industry is probably one of the biggest ones. I mean, whether it's local music or, like in your case, theater or anything like that, comedy shows, that kind of thing. I mean, they directly affected, like, from hero to zero.
Yeah, everything to do with performance and with people getting together. I mean, also, a Facebook update I saw from Katie Shute, who was one of the performers and presenters of the workshops in Cape Town. She sort of sent a thing out to the performance community about what are some strategies, and the opening line was something like, well, she's just gone from earning pretty well to nothing in a few days. It was like literally over the weekend. Friday, everything was set up. Monday, everything was shut down. So all that, she's an independent artist, and and in a country like the UK, where they could probably still support people that are doing that, I think over here it's going to be pretty dire. I mean, and then the small businesses, I mean, geez, the little coffee shops and the places in town here, I can't see them making it with a few weeks without customers.
Yeah. So I mean, so you said you've like basically self-quarantined yourself for the last week, eh?
Yeah, I think I've got another week to go before I'm convinced that I'm kind of all right. I used to also play some guitar of the weekends at this old age home, but I didn't do that because I thought, geez, just in case, go there and wipe out a whole room full of old folks in like one.
You wouldn't want to be that guy, huh?
Yeah, like in the comedy shows, they say, "Oh yeah, I really killed tonight. I don't want to like go out and do that."
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know who knows in a week's time. I mean, the last week has been so crazy, and in the next week, we're chatting here, right, while the president is talking. So things could, and it might be. I think my wife is saying, or her thing that she's been sort of predicting a little bit for a while is that there's just like a shutdown of a few months where we won't be able to leave the house, and that might get to that there's like literally a period of 2 months where you got to live on what you've got.
Well, let's hope for once our government has made the decisive decisions timeously, so that they actually catch it quick enough. Because I mean, fortunately, we've had a bit of time on our side in terms of us being able to watch the other countries and how it's progressed and the measures that they've put in place. So I think we've fortunately got a bit of time on our hands. And if we make the decisions at the right time, then maybe we might be able to contain it quick enough. But who knows?
Yeah, I guess. Well, the numbers are still a little bit lower. It had quite a jump today over 100 and 120.
It's up to 402 now at the last check.
That's
from 274.
So I think there is still a little bit of laxity. Like what you were talking about, the students. I just read in the local newspaper or so, there was an incident with a student coming back from America who wasn't quarantined, who just went straight back to his thing, and he refused to be put on a quarantine. He had to get the police there and forcibly take him off to the hospital to put him into isolation, because he just sort of said, no, it's fine, he feels good. So there's a little bit of, there's a strong response from the kind of civil authorities to not let people get away with, deciding for themselves if they want to be quarantined or not.
Yeah. I heard a story today. There was some guy, I don't know where it was, same kind of thing. He was told that he had to quarantine himself, and he decided to go out to a nightclub, and they caught him, and I think they fined him R500,000.
Wow.
Okay, not in this country. It's in some overseas country. I'm not too sure where it was, but the guys are taking it seriously. I mean, the authorities are. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw on TV there the spring break, which is currently supposed to be or is happening in the US. I mean, the students are like, they still want to go out and party and all that kind of stuff. They're like not really taking it seriously.
That whole Fort Lauderdale scene.
Yeah. Oh well, let's just. Yeah.
Well, that was originally. I mean, that's also been a real shift in thinking, like how, because originally the British approach was, well, just let people get it, let the strong people just protect the people who are not so well or old, and let the young people just absorb it and move and get the immunity and so on. But that changed very quickly when Europe took a different stance. It's actually, it's quite incredible how quickly the mindset changed, because and even sort of a little bit of shaming on Facebook, and the idea that you're a killer if you're not responsible, or you could, even if you're young, you can go out and infect your gran or something like that.
Yeah,
it's like it really moved quickly from people thinking it's like a bad thing to panic, or it's a bad thing to be hysterical. Oh, come on, don't like freak out. To it's not such a great thing to be too chilled about this and to pretend it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Well, I have to say the mindset change for me was Cyril's address last weekend. Because, I mean, I was saying, okay, be cautious, but don't panic kind of thing. And I was still like, I'm not too sure. At that point, I wasn't too sure what all the panic was about, because I hadn't really taken the time to go and read up and see why they were so worried about this virus in particular and not the others, more so than the others. And I think it was after Cyril's address where he said, okay, he's closing the schools. I was like, okay, that's quite a drastic move. Okay, let me go check out what's going on here. And that's when I understand now why they're so panicked about this virus. Yeah, over the others. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently it's a lot easier to get it. It's more quickly transmitted than SARS and the other ones.
Yeah. And they say that it's deadly, but not too deadly, if you know what I mean. It's like, sounds like a funny thing, because they were saying with the other viruses, they were like, let's say they were difficult to transmit, but they were quite deadly. The problem was that, for the virus itself, it couldn't transmit quick enough before the host passed away. So,
okay.
So, even though it was highly, it was deadly in a way, it was difficult to transmit. So, but it just died out.
It cripples the person.
Yeah. So this one is fairly contagious and fairly deadly. So it's like almost like a deadly mix between the two the two factors that.
And also, I was reading that it's mutating. I mean, it's changing as well. The fact that it moved from animal to human was already a mutation, and then it was a while before it could go from human to human. Because that also was an evolutionary step in its life cycle. So already, and it's changing all the time. I mean, so it could also, the fact that it doesn't affect young people or doesn't kill them, could also change in a month or two. It might have developed that capacity, capability.
Yeah, that's scary. That's scary.
Not just one.
And I mean, the fact that they've never seen it before, and so they don't know exactly what the circumstances are, or what ins and outs are, or what temperatures it thrives in and what it doesn't thrive in. It's like many unknowns.
But to put another little controversial thing in the pot, my friend David who I saw in Cape Town, he's a scientist. He was on his way to Harvard to run a workshop there. And I mean, I'm just giving credentials because, he was saying for him, he blames the anti-vaxxers, the anti-vaxxer soccer moms for this thing, because there's there has been a push to develop a universal vaccine. There are people working on a universal flu vaccine for all flus, which would cover this one as well. But because the pushback, and there's that whole move of anti-vaccination, it hasn't been such a popular option. So people don't always, there hasn't been as much money. The money goes to what people wanted, what can sell. And immediately if there's a little bit of a negative vibe, it's like, okay, maybe we won't go into vaccination or put the money into that. Whereas if people had seen that as a priority in the last 10 years and been pumping money into research, the labs would have been ready, and it would have been much quicker to work out a vaccine if they hadn't worked one out already. Yeah, so that was like a little dig there against the sort of anti-science folks.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if you follow much about the conversation about social media and how social media is abused to drive those sort of agendas with the anti-vaxxers. I think there was a study that was done in the US where they found out that particular groups were using Twitter as a vehicle to sway the sentiment regarding vaccine or not vaccine, like creating fake accounts and just driving that narrative on Twitter, which is actually quite scary in itself.
Yeah, I mean, I love that's one the thing about them making it. That was also something from Ramaphosa's speech last week, saying that it'll be like a crime, like spreading fake information about this is deadly. It's like
Absolutely.
it's also kind of an interesting move how it's possible for people to really get together like around an issue and also because it's urgent and sudden and immediate and happening now. But even if you've seen those articles about why isn't this kind of action possible with climate change or something, that's also absolutely irrefutable, even though it's taking a little bit longer. It's not an immediate thing from this month to the next month. But all the governments are dragging the heels, and it's like, oh yeah, whatever, economy, this and that. But now they don't. The economic thing is like the second thing to think about. Like, deal with this, and then we'll sort out the economy, or maybe we'll have to rethink capitalism or try to help people that haven't got anything. But this is the fucking problem. Let's just like deal with the health thing. So imagine they had that approach, or well, maybe this could be the start of thinking that something really deadly and that's a threat to all life on Earth could be taken seriously, and actually extreme steps could be taken to do something.
Yeah, I think with this whole, the whole virus thing is it's so close to home, and someone knows someone that's got it, and someone that's perhaps maybe sadly passed away or something like that. It's a little bit more in your face.
People get it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, this is the thing, is that there's a bit of an anecdotal spin-off from this, is that in some areas where there has been a lockdown, that the pollution has started dropping.
Yeah.
So as an example.
Yeah, but they said the lockdown could save 1 million lives in China. 1 million people a year die from respiratory illness because of air pollution.
Yeah.
And the lockdown has immediately just cleared up the whole landscape. The whole area is clean again. So there's going to be like hundreds of thousands of people surviving, not just the 100,000 or what they've got 80,000 cases from the actual sickness.
Yeah, that's fascinating. But like you say, it's amazing how something like this changes people's perception, and other issues which are probably larger issues, more long-term issues. People just seem to just drag their feet, and not governments and people and so on. It's very interesting how the human mind works.
Yeah, and it's very much, I think it's because the numbers are involved. It's easy, and it's ongoing, immediate, and it's quantifiable. And whenever numbers are involved, there's a little bit of a competitive element, and then countries are competing with each other. It's like, it doesn't matter if it's money or sports, or we got the highest or the biggest or the fattest or the whatever, but you got some numbers on the leaderboard, and you're going to have people going, oh, we can do better, and there's something to measure something against something else. So something to do with that. There's a mindset around numbers rather than sentiment or feelings or something like that. I think that
more
drives
tangible
action.
Yeah, more tangible.
Yeah, it's measurable. Something that's very clearly measurable, and we can define sickness and death as bad things. We can, it's very easy to comprehend and grasp. You don't have to like agree with it or have an opinion about it. You can. It's just very straightforward. And so something about that has driven this, which is interesting, this kind of psychology of it, and the peer pressure, and how thinking changes around world leaders also not wanting to be shown up by other world leaders and wanting to step forward, and it was because it has been an example of how countries are structured. I mean, we all know, Trump has been a disaster from day one, but just the thing of him handling it in this very abstract way is just somehow influencing his ratings and whatever. Talking about people, like he said that thing about when the ship came in, he didn't want the ship to dock because he said, oh, that'll double I don't want to double my numbers. There were like 1,000 cases. He didn't want I don't want to double my numbers. Like, I don't want to have 2,000 cases. But not letting, but it's and not getting the kids out and things like that. But it shows how people govern, how they run their countries, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, sure, yeah. So we're changing the subject a little bit. So changing the subject a little bit, you into the sort of mindfulness meditation sort of community.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, just to help people out there. I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot of anxiety around people's jobs being affected, people that are like in the entertainment industry that are, all of a sudden that their income's dried up and all that kind of stuff. I mean, what's your advice when it comes to meditation and mindfulness in terms of dealing with those kind of things for people on a personal level?
Yeah. I mean, giving advice. I don't know if I'm in a position to sort of advise people or.
Oh, well, I mean,
I think the mindfulness philosophy or the mindfulness idea is the most important thing, I think, is to face the truth of what's happening. I mean, Rob Nairn, who was my teacher, who brought it to South Africa, his definition of mindfulness is knowing what's happening while it's happening. So something's happening and to be aware of it. So if you're not, and the problems start to be created when we deny what's happening in our internal environment, how we feel, our emotional states. If we have a disturbed emotional state, like we're feeling angry or jealous or some kind of a thing that disturbs our equilibrium, or if it's an external thing that's happening. So the first step is to acknowledge and to accept the situation. This is really what's happening. Not to try to suppress it or run away from it or disguise it or paint it in a different light, but to really fully, only then can you really give an effective response to it. And also there's less anxiety then, I think, if you accept something. Like I've heard it said, I mean, like the thing with trauma, people facing actual threats often have less trauma than people who are facing imaginary threats. So people that have, it's like you have a mental threat or a fear or an anxiety that is limitless because your imagination is limitless and you start thinking about what could happen and what might happen and how things could be and what they think of me, or all these kinds of like small things growing up that can be a major trauma in your mind that can unhinge you. Whereas if there's a real threat, like a famine or a disaster, then there's often something you can do. There's something you can counter, you can do something to what is the best thing to do in that situation. So I think that's the one thing with the mindfulness way of thinking, with the theory of mindfulness, if you want to call it something like that, is accepting the situation. And the way we do that, or in the practice of sitting, where you're sitting for 10 or 20 minutes and you're just allowing your mind and you're allowing your emotions to be present and to be aware of them, to be present for whatever it is that's coming up in you. So if there is anxiety that's there, it's not to try to get away from it. I think we all have a tendency to really hit the Netflix hard now. I know in the last week I have to sort of get entertained, to like get away from our own thoughts about things. But really valuable, I think, even for a short time, to just be aware of how we're feeling about stuff and to let it be there. Because the thing with something like anxiety, it's not a permanent state of being, or like all states of mind, things come and go. It's like we have these patterns and these cycles, and we create our own weather patterns as well. But things come and go. And what Rob was often said is that the only reason that things persist is, or things only stick around or persist or don't go their natural course, when either we obsess about them, we keep on coming back repeatedly to think about something that we like. For example, we like this feeling or thought and we want it to always last, or if we reject it, we suppress it, we don't want to know about it, like we have an uncomfortable feeling, but we don't like feeling that way. So we try to look on the bright side, think positively, don't be depressed. And we're also like pushing away. So whenever we're trying to artificially manipulate or through our kind of mental willpower, try to force ourselves to feel a certain state, that's when we cause problems for ourselves. That's when we create like a shadow self, or we create something that just keeps coming back, or that thing that we obsess about, that we want to hold on to, the nature, its quality changes. it's not
Yeah.
that enjoyable anymore. When you eat 30 chocolates, it's not as great as that first chocolate. Oh, but you want more, you want more. So that kind of obsession with wanting things to stay in a good state. Oh, why are things changing now? Everything was going so well. Or not wanting things to be uncomfortable or difficult. Both of those are unhelpful strategies for coping with difficult situations. So the mindfulness practice, basically just in short of just taking a few breaths or a few minutes a day to really check in with how we are, and to really fully embrace or accept this is the truth, this is what's happening, and this is how I'm feeling about it, and not wanting to force a change, not thinking I should feel different, I should be different, but really accepting how it is we are feeling. And only, I think, in that state can it be allowed to, after displaying itself, that it does change, that it does actually dissolve, it does dissipate. We get a broader view, we get a slightly bigger view. It's not a bigger view in terms of time, that this isn't going to be like this forever. Even if things get really bad, even then it's not the whole of our lives. And also geographically, there's many opportunities, I think, to really connect with other people. And like what we're doing now, like you were saying, with the online media, and we're having these daily mindfulness sessions, and internationally we're aware of other family, friends, but other human beings in other countries. So there's an opportunity also to really develop our fellow feeling, I think, empathy and passion and so on. So there are ways to approach the situation that are not defeatist, that we don't necessarily have to be traumatized or incapacitated or driven into a state of fear because of difficult situations.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because, I mean, they said it's either going to bring out the worst in people or the best in people, and hopefully it's going to bring out the best in people.
Yeah.
We'll pull together rather than, push one another away.
And we have to, it's a threat for all humanity. So we really do have to cross those boundaries of country and nation and race and all those other things, divisions, and get on board, get on the same team. And also the rich-poor divide definitely is going to change economics and money, because the system can't last, I don't think. I do think it'll need to move to a more socialist kind of system. Government is going to have to start saying, look, we can't spend money on whatever is not essential. We need food, we need medicine, and those have always been the essential things. Those have always been the things where most money should have been spent. But governments haven't spent money on that. They've spent money on military stuff and whatever, fancy conferences and whatever to promote the country image, or even tourism. Oh, it's good for the economy. But now it's down to basics, human life, and education as well, I guess. Education, food, medicine, those are the main things. And all the available money needs to be spent on that, and to save people who are going to lose everything. It's quite astonishing, actually, that it's not like a few people, like some catastrophe happens on Wall Street and investors lose this, but all these businesses, I mean, like, it's incredible. A lot of people are just going to lose everything.
Yeah, sure, man. Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah. Well, let's just hope that the government gets its priorities right and supports the people that need it. Yeah. How's that for a conversation killer?
Okay, anyway, see ya.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, and so I'm not going to take up too much of your time, but it's really great to chat, and I'm sure we'll check in again with one another. And good luck with what you guys are busy with your sabbatical and the interviews you're going to have in the next couple of days, next couple of weeks.
Cool. Yeah. If there's like a comments thing, I can send you the link for the Zoom sessions every day at 7. If people want to check that out.
Yeah, please do. Yeah. I'll put that in the show notes for anyone that wants to get involved with the mindfulness stuff. Because look, I mean, I've started meditating on a regular basis, probably for the last 18 months, 2 years, and I've just found it just in my ability to be able to reframe situations has been a lot easier. In other words, like you say, I can take a step back and see what's actually happening, and that just helps me deal with the situation. You know, I'm not like in it, but I have the ability to step away from it, be able to see, you know, look at it sensibly, and be able to, you know, change my thought pattern, you know, think about stuff clearly.
Are you using an app?
Yeah, so I started off with Headspace, and went through the whole sort of training, you know, their like basic course, you know, their level 1 and 2, went up to their advanced 1 and 2, and then switched over to Sam Harris's meditation app, which is Waking Up.
Okay.
Yeah, and I try and do that as often as I can. Try and do it 10 minutes every day.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, this also, the whole move of staying indoors there's definitely a positive potential there for us to go a little bit more into ourselves and not always be pushing outwards and projecting and being so busy. Even though we are connected to our devices, we are going to be spending a lot more time with ourselves and with our very close people that if we've got partners or families. It's going to be a lot of time in a very close space for a lot of people. And I mean, and people on their own as well. It's an opportunity to do these things like reflect and write and think and meditate and practice an instrument that you haven't practiced for a while, or do some journaling or some art, kind of creative things that come from inside, you know, exploring the inner world or the inner life. So that's an incredible opportunity, I think, not to always be spending our energy and our focus on busyness outside geographically, but to have to take some time a day to be in our own space and to put some effort into a personal project that we've always wanted to look at but never had the time for.
Sure. Or we thought we didn't have the time for. Because I mean, it's just like you just change the priority and all of a sudden you've got the time, you know. I think it's amazing how we have that sort of paradigm shift when there's a big event that causes us to change the way that we do things. Yeah. Very interesting.
So there's opportunity, I think, for reshaping the way relationships work, or are we working with our own emotions and minds, and the way governments work. It's quite exciting on one level.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, Anton, thanks very much.
Okay,
we'll chat again soon.
Nice to meet you. Let's see.
Yeah, likewise, man. And good luck with everything.
Thanks a lot, eh?
Cool, man. Cheers.
Ciao.